So you get the headphones in, and then.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Madam Luke's. My name is Sim. Along with me are my co-host Sheikh Amir. Oh, there is no Sheikh Amir today.
Yeah.
He's on medical leave.
Right to your, move it close to your. It's like an omnidirectional, so you put it right, move it close to your face.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah. You speak into it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
The one and only Mort.
Assalamu alaikum. Ramadan Mubarak.
Brothers and sisters, we have a wonderful show for you guys this evening. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and throw in the comment section below with your thoughts related to the show. Maybe you can put your favorite type of oud or musk or what have you related to the show. And on that note, let us introduce to you a beloved Sheikh of ours from the local area, Sheikh Yaseen Palwala, who is a perfumer, a teacher in various institutions across the Chicagoland area. He's also a clothier as well, mashallah. Welcome to the show.
Assalamu alaikum.
How are you?
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khair for having me.
We for people who don't know, right now we have like 1,000 bottles and jars all across the table right now. So we have a lot of things to talk to Sheikh Yaseen about. Sheikh, why don't you just give people a little bit of introduction onto oud? How, like when I studied or tried to learn about the oud making process, at least how it's done, it was done back in the day. I'm talking about like 1,000 years ago or so. You didn't have all kinds of distillation plants and all the fancy machines back then. How did they do it like around the Prophet's time?
Yeah. Well, first of all, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu once again. And with that being said, first of all, I'm honored and, been watching your show. I'm going to take these off if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Just make sure you put the mic closer to you.
I got you.
Yeah, pull it up.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. So, I've been watching your show for quite a bit now. Just, on and off. I don't, you don't usually get the time to watch an entire show.
Yeah.
But alhamdulillah, so it's good to be here. Anyway, so.
You can always put us on 2x speed. We can speak really fast. That's for how I listen to podcasts.
I feel you, man. I feel you. All right.
Everything's too slow for me now.
Yeah,
Just like, okay,
I got
Get
you.
to it.
Yeah, get to it.
All right. In the time of the Prophet ﷺ, interestingly enough, there was no oil for the most part. There was no distillation system, right? It was it was more the wood that was burning. That Umar radiallahu, the hadith of the Prophet Umar radiallahu an Ibn Umar, in fact, he mentioned that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would love to burn oud wood, what we have right here, and he would take a piece of, in today's time we would call it frankincense. What's that other one? Why is that?
Mir?
No, not mir. La hawla wa la quwwa. The one they bury the dead with. What is that called?
Camphor.
Camphor.
Yeah.
They would put camphor next to it, and it has that same eucalyptic type of a vibe to it. You know. So interestingly enough, when you put those two elements together, you get one of the most beautiful aromas. It's that classic, woody, dense, very deep and complex, and then you have that frankincense types of eucalyptic vibe, and you would equate it today to modern perfumery too.
Yeah.
You would equate it today to modern perfumery where the blends are made with a keen nose.
So Sheikh Yaseen, sorry to interrupt you. Many people don't even know the fundamentals of oud. I know, like, some people know that they come from woods and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What are some of the essential components to making oud? Like, when I visit your lab, I saw all these different base materials that you work with. Can you describe some of the things that people or perfumers extract scents from that people didn't know about? Like, because many people just think oud is wood.
Sure.
Yeah.
Or
flowers.
Right. Or flower.
But you showed me all kinds of different things.
I did. And interestingly enough, what I brought with me today is actually synthetic oud as well. And perhaps for the reasons of copyright or whatever, I'm just gonna try to keep the name hidden. But this is an oud synthetic. I'm reading it. It says 50% recreation by, and this is a famous company by the name of Firmenich. Anyway, the reason I show this is because in today's modern perfumery, you have these synthetics used so heavily. But going back to your question, and the reason I mentioned this first, though, is to understand the many natural elements that God has afforded us to extract scent from. Primarily, number one, the musk pod, right?
Ooh, what is that?
This is actually from the Siberian deer.
Are you able to take that out of the jar? Or
absolutely.
That looks
Caution
scary.
though, it's not the smell that you're gonna get.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is.
They have to extract from that.
Yeah, so what I did actually in this jar right here is 1 gram of Sultan Qaboos musk. Is from the
collection.
From the collection of Sultan Qaboos, rahimahullah. He passed away about 2 years ago, and he left behind about almost a football field worth of musk and different aromatics.
And for the listeners out there, he probably had one of the greatest collections of oud in our time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he had from all over, and he's been collecting it. And this stuff is stuff that's been mixed and kept for some of them hundreds of years. Like, it's not like something you just make, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes. So it's time to age. It's like wine, right? Where it becomes strong and aromatic. It's really nice.
Yeah, just like you were saying, fermentation and all that is part of it. So with that being said, this right here is a maceration. So there's 2 types of extractions of raw materials. You have a maceration and then you have a tincture. A maceration is generally done in sandalwood. So you have the musk pod. Let me take it right from the top, right? I'm going to open it up. I don't know if there's a camera that can kind of zoom.
I can.
Oh, sweet.
I can hand it to him.
All right. Oh, beautiful. Yeah. So go ahead and take a whiff as well. So that's a Siberian musk pod, man. That's something that you don't come across. You go to
hairy.
It's from the button of a deer, the belly button of a deer.
The belly button of the deer. In Urdu or in
smell my belly button?
Yeah, that's where it comes from.
I know someone who does that. Like, hey, smell my finger, and it was actually in their belly button.
Yeah, and there's
a horrible prank to do on someone.
Yeah, I know that guy too.
The volume.
Oh, this does smell like a belly button.
Yeah, so that's not how it's. I mean, there's a process.
So the end process, the end product, right?
I didn't know deers have belly buttons.
Well,
who cuts the belly button? So the umbilical cord.
Some savage people.
I don't know, man. They probably just get up inside there. It's
the mother just gnaws it off.
Don't let PETA find out that you have belly buttons.
You're a belly button collector.
Belly button snatcher.
Belly button bandit.
Belly button.
Watch out, you might stick your finger in there.
So right now we're talking about musk bog, bro. I got stuff here that if you open it, we might just have to cut the short right here. Like for example, civet. You ever heard of civet?
Yeah. Civet.
So civet is from the Ethiopian cat. It's a secretion of sorts. From the Ethiopian cat.
Is that code for poop?
It's actually not. Interestingly enough,
they secrete it from their mouths, right?
Well, no, it's a secretion from, as they say, ahad as-sabilain. It's not from the ahad as-sabilain. It's not from one of the 2 passages. Well, I think animals only have 1 passage. I don't know actually. Yeah. do they have 1 passage or 2 passages? But here, my friend, is civet, and civet is used in modern perfumery like crazy. It's actually used in in a lot of the niche perfumes anyway, but the synthetic version of it, the recreation of it.
So is that used as like a base?
So no, this is actually used. It is also used as a base, but more so to kind of round off a beautiful scent or a beautiful blend. It will kind of sandpaper all the rough edges of an entire blend, unbelievably. And that's why, any blend that you have, they will just add a couple of drops of, and not necessarily for the smell of it.
Yeah.
Not necessarily for the scent of it, rather for the effect of it.
Right.
And
So it's like a finisher. So if you're pulling multiple scents together,
there we go.
to kind of finish it together, you put that on top so it kind of
It's
contains
like a
it.
binder almost.
Yeah.
So it's called civet, but it also comes from an African civet. is what you
Exactly.
said.
Exactly. Are you looking it up? Oh, I thought you,
No,
I thought
no.
you said African.
No.
So it was Ethiopia.
Oh yeah, I mean Ethiopia is Africa, right?
Yeah.
So basically, it's excreted from some of the glands around.
Correct. Yeah. It's
Okay.
it's a secretion from one of the glands, and at this point, it's able to be smelled because when it's fresh, it's very animalic and very poopy.
Yeah.
At this point, if you're able to appreciate it, you will actually smell facets of orris root.
What's orris root?
Orris, it's a flower. It's a special purple violet type of a flower.
I'm gonna
But
Google that.
bismillah.
Orris root.
You can still smell it very animally, but
Yeah.
you can still smell
You can smell
underneath that.
and exactly.
There's some like scent underneath
It's
it.
like a very gourmand floral sort of a scent.
It's almost like there's a slightly, almost even like a coffee thing to it. Like it's
Yeah.
weird. Yeah.
Let me show the
interesting.
camera so the people look at this disgusting thing that we're looking at. Because
So that's why
it
a
looks like
lot of
poop.
times.
for people who are listening in the
And it
car.
kind of smells like a little bit.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah, so
That
but
smells
sorry,
like
man. I
poop.
should have told you how to smell
Shit,
it.
this might be niches.
So you know what? That's a good question that you just brought up, and I think we should discuss that for a minute, actually. So a lot of times when I'm working in my lab, I'll just burn some oud, man, because sometimes the smell of these animalics is overbearing, and so that's what we're gonna do.
Yeah, it smells
right
like
now.
a farm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. But then there's this kind of natural grounding element to it, which doesn't really bother you too much. You know what I'm saying? I mean, subhanAllah, it gets you into a zone.
I think you get adapted. Someone
You
like
do.
you.
You definitely.
No,
do.
and I think to be honest, like when the initial smell of it is done, the after smell. A lot of these things have after smells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty about oud, because someone will smell off a bottle,
Yeah.
like, oh, that's strong. But
Yeah.
then you put a dab on the skin.
Yeah,
and
not
you-
just the after smell, but they also have this like kind of like a fermentation type thing
Yeah.
that's happening.
Yeah.
Like that one bottle that you're seeing, I bought that one a long time ago.
This guy?
No, that big one. That one is a terrible smelling. It smells like a cheap bottle. But when if I let it rest for a year, it'll start smelling really good.
Yeah.
But when I first got it, I'm like, oh,
I
gotta
mean,
recall.
look, I'll be straightforward. You know, I'm going to be straight. Just put it out there.
You just
right?
say it's trash. Look, I spent
I know,
I spent $30 for
Well,
it,
there we
Sheikh.
go.
Okay.
You get what you pay for.
All right.
But I want to be honest though.
Yeah.
Like, even that bottle, right? It's no different than something like this.
Yeah.
And like,
Tom Ford.
yeah, Tom Ford. Like, people spend hundreds of dollars on this bottle, and it,
$200
it smells.
to be
It smells
precise.
decent,
Yeah.
but it's synthetic in some ways. And a lot of these perfumers, they buy stuff from people who produced oud. Like
Yeah.
they take and they add it, and they're selling it for literally hundreds of dollars. And it smells good. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but it's not what oud should smell like.
Absolutely not.
It's a mix of other things.
Yeah.
And although a lot of people go crazy over it, I think what the modern world associates with oud is this very earthy, masculine, tobacco-y, like leathery smell, right?
Yeah.
And oud traditionally is not just about that.
Yeah.
It's almost like a blending of scent. And
Yeah.
me personally, something I've noticed too could smell good on the Shaykh and smell horribly on me.
Yeah.
It's about finding that oil mixture,
That perfect, the
and a
right
scent
oud for your skin chemistry.
that's gonna blend with your smell,
Yeah.
your scent, and then they kind of linger. Like this stuff doesn't linger on. I spray this on in the morning, it's gone by the evening.
Right.
Maybe in a few hours, it's gone.
Sure.
Real quality oud that's meant for your skin, it almost becomes part of your skin. Like when
Yeah.
you sweating it out
Yeah.
because it's part of you, and that's what the oud comes from, right? To
Yeah.
be able to smell nice all day, to smell like you've just taken a shower.
Sheikh, what's that terrible desi oud that all these people? It's like green. I think it's called Jannat al-Firdaus.
Khas. Oh no, sorry, you're right. Jonathan Firdaus.
I don't like
So-
that at all. It,
think he's
it
talking
made me hate
Oh man, I
oud
swear
for
to God,
some
that, see,
for the longest time, for a better part of 20 years growing up. I'm like,
Leave it-
I
leave
just
it- leave it.
thought
No, don't even
people
open it.
meant.
Smell it open.
I thought that was oud, and I'm like,
no,
I don't
this-
want
this is
anything to
not
do with
Jonathan
it.
Firdaus.
give me that Tom Ford.
This is like This is like a recreation of khas or something. This is just something. I can't even put a name to it. You see, when you get into natural perfumery, right? When you get into actual perfumery, now you're really able to pick up and just kind of identify stuff, these aromatics, and you realize like, dude, like, are you serious? They sold this to you for like $50. Like, how is that possible, man? It's insane. Like, seriously. And it's unfortunate though, but part of it, I'll be honest with you, and it's so sad because there's this brother at my shop just earlier today, about an hour ago, and he's off to Umrah, right? He's off for the pilgrimage. And, like, he's all excited. I'm like, man, listen, before you put on your ihram, before you make the niyyah of ihram, rather, you want to put some nice oud on you. He's like, nah, man, I'm going to get it over there. And the best of the best. I'm like, man, first of all, brother, oud does not come from Saudi Arabia. It does not come from the Arabian Peninsula, right? Number two, unfortunately, and as sad as it may be, most of the merchants in Saudi Arabia, and sorry for whoever is from Saudi Arabia listening, I don't know if you have a lot of listeners, but they just don't know. They just don't know. It's as simple as that. They just don't know.
They got it from a producer and they just bottle it up. And
That's it. They bottle it up. And here's the other misconception. So these are a few misconceptions I also wanted to kind of bring out on this show, is that number one, a huge misconception is people will come into my shop, for example, and I experienced this firsthand, right? Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily I'm not just in the lab. I'm like actually dealing with people who want to get an idea of what's going on here or what oud is. So they'll come into the shop and say, Sheikh, just hook me up with the best. I want some oud today, like, all right. So I'm like, are you sure you want some oud, brother?
But they're not willing to pay for it.
No, forget that. I'm not even there yet. SubhanAllah, that's number two.
$200? like, bro, that's an entry level.
Oh, yeah. For our Desi crowd anyway, it's like no more than $5.99. Khalas, man. No more than that. But here's the worst part. I can give them an oud and say, hey, bro, this is one of our, not top tier. This is in the middle. This is mediocre. Oh, what's this? This is not oud. Like, bro, this is oud. You asked for oud, and I already knew from the beginning that they're not gonna know what. And so the reality is nine out of 10 people, I would say at least 8 out of 10 people have no clue what oud is, unfortunately, and that's why this show I was really looking forward to this, so that people can get educated on the idea of what actual oud is. So when you say the word oud, and so here's the other thing: what is the difference between oud and atar?
Yeah. Like musk,
right. Oud is agarwood, and here I'm just gonna pick this up real quick, and I still want to be knocking anything over. But subhanAllah, I really have no idea how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave me the ability to bring this across customs, because that's actual agarwood from Malaysia.
You can hit someone with this.
As
one of your students. Give it to him.
And I just want to say, like, some people will think like, oh,
it smells
they
nice
smell
too.
like white musk, and like, oh, that's oud. And that's athar. It's not like the oud. It smells good. Don't get me wrong. I love it. Yeah. But it's not oud.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. So you have oud. So oud is from agarwood, whereas atar is actually simply a blend of other oils, including oud, perhaps. But that is the simple differentiation and the simple definition of it. Oud is agarwood. It's a single linear, not linear in the sense of complexity, because it's complex like no tomorrow, but it's a one oil, right? One item, one article, however you want to put it. And then you have atar, which are multiple.
Which have flavors like jasmine, other things in there.
That's right. Just like, for example, I bought this in for you guys to see today. This is a phenomenal sandalwood. Sandalwood is staple in perfumery. It's like every perfumer needs to have it. If not the original, then at least a synthetic, right? But anyway, so yeah, this is what. And we
sandalwood
use.
and adds like that sweetness to it, right?
It does, and it works as a fixative. So it really, just like civet I was talking about earlier, but sandalwood even more. It asphyxiates the entire blend. Not to mention the strength of it. More the strength of it. It asphyxiates.
So when you say strength, that means like it lingers on?
It lingers on. It adds longevity to it. It adds body to it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So that's sandalwood for you. But yeah, I just wanted to make that differentiation. I hope people can really understand the difference between oud and finally number two is that price mark, right? Like you said earlier. the idea of like, oh yeah, $10. No, wait, not even, forget $20 for it. And then the next question is, what's the size?
Yeah.
What's the size? You see what you just grabbed right there, real quick. I'm just gonna.
That's what I was gonna make a point, and I want people to understand. Like, there are some real perfumers who supply oud to people. Like, I think we both know. Like, there's a famous brand called Ansar, right? Something like this from Ansar, from a collection, would probably cost you $400 to $500.
Yeah. Ansar al-Mujahideen? Ansar al-Mujahideen?
No, it's just called Ansar.
That's an illegal group, by the way.
Yeah. What did you say that again? What group?
Ansar al-Mujahideen.
Oh, Mujahideen. I think you said it with that accent.
He does it on purpose.
But like Muslim, anyway.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, like, people don't realize that the reason why it's expensive. First of all, real stuff like this is expensive for numerous reasons.
Let me put up the camera.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. So a bottle about this size that he's going to show you from a reputable, someone like Ansar, would cost you.
Yeah.
I mean, but when I say reputable, it doesn't have to be Ansar. I'm just saying that's a probably famous brand name. Yeah. But I'm saying anyone that puts the work into extracting and filtering and filtration, all the stuff, and they extract these, distill it. There's a process, and that's why it's expensive. It's aged. It takes time.
Yeah.
It's a process.
FYI, just so we're clear, that's not Ansar's, by the way.
No, it's not. No.
That's actually I don't know if he's watching right now, but that's my mentor's collection that he sent out to me as a sample set for purchasing more. And just so since we're talking about Ansar, might as well. This is Oud Yusuf right here.
Oud Yusuf.
You like Oud Yusuf? Some familiarity there.
Let's smell that now. Like, you know how you smelled the Tom Ford earlier? Let's smell this.
Yeah. That's like a $900 bottle.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Unbelievably. But
I want to make sure.
Yeah, go for it. No, straight. But on your skin though.
Okay? It's $100 a pump, buddy.
$100 a pump. But I did want to give a shout out to some of the people that I've been learning from as well. But I'll get to that.
So okay, this one. Let's talk about this. Oud Yusuf.
Yeah.
How does someone like you make this or recreate this?
So here's the thing. I personally don't recreate anything, right? Unless someone asks for a recreation, and that too of synthetics. But I'm not into that. I'm not into recreate. I'm an artist. And I like to. You
want to make your own.
I want to keep it as original as possible. Now with aromatics such as oud, rose, and jasmine, and musk, and ambergris, and all that good stuff, right? There are a couple of these blends. Like for example, your classic musk and oud. Your classic oud and rose. Right, oud rose is a very, very classic blend. But before we get into that,
no, I didn't mean for you to recreate it, but just talk about like what goes into making that.
Oh, for sure, yeah. So what goes into
and why is it so expensive? Like,
well, here we go. A little bit about Ansar, and you know what? Hey, hats off to this brother, mashallah. He's been in this industry for many decades, and he was one of the first to introduce oud to the West. Okay, one of the first,
like bespoke type.
Not even bespoke. I mean, original oud, yes, and bespoke. But his entire mission, if I'm not mistaken, I can't speak for him, but he's done many videos and such as well. I've actually spoken to him at a few occasions when I originally got into ouds, and we wanted to use him as our supplier. To get the ouds from him and over here. But anyways, long story short. The reality is that, he introduced it to the West. People took inspiration from him, and I was one of them. I actually got introduced to him in, I think it was 2018 when there was the Oud Fest. It was like the one of many, actually one of a very few, right? And I got introduced to him. But the reality is, to answer your question, how is this actually made? I mean, it's all about the artistry. See, in modern perfumery, there's formulations and there's formulas. There's the IFRA, you guys know the IFRA, which is the FDA for perfumery, right? And so they'll dictate to you, okay, this much of this and that much of this and only that much of that and etc.
Yeah.
Right? And as for artistic perfumery, there is no limitations, Yarni.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So how can I just want to get your feedback on what
I loved it.
What do you smell? How can you describe it? And that's another thing.
It's floral. It's woody. There's
So let me pause you there. The reason why I think, correct me if I'm wrong, he's asking you this is because this is part of the enjoyment of oud.
There we go.
Yeah.
Because what you smell, I could smell something completely different. Like sometimes when I come there, like for example, the Shaykh made me some bottles, right? I brought some stuff to him from Turkey. I had some, and he made me a collection. And before we got to this, we were smelling different things, and he's like, "What do you think about this one? It's a really good smell." I'm like, "I don't like it." Right, and then something else that he thought was mediocre. I'm like, "Oh, I love this." Right, it smells like foresty to me. It smells like earth. It smells like tobacco-y, and I like it. And so he's asking you for that feedback because that's how, like, someone like him would listen to your feedback. It's kind of like wine tasting.
Yeah.
Right, or
wine descriptions have like the best descriptions. If you ever want to like create a short byline about what your oud is describing, you can learn a lot from how wineries describe their
and that's
wines.
why I mentioned that because and it's specifically to each individual.
Yeah.
Right. It's not what you taste is different than what somebody else is going to taste.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about oud. So when we talk about coming to someone like the Shaykh who's going to make oud for you, it's not just about the price. You're paying for something that's tailored to your nose and your body.
Yeah. So yeah,
it's very subjective. It's absolutely subjective, right?
Smoky. There's so many notes going on here, and I can
understand. Very complex.
I can understand the complexity and why it is what it is, and why
and how much it is. This Oud Yusuf particularly was a classic oud oil that he released many years ago, almost a decade ago, if I'm not wrong, right? And then from that emerged Oud Yusuf. Eau de parfum, right? There was a pure parfum edition of it as well.
And that's the one that would be used by like larger perfumers that would mix and add, right? I mean, like, because I know that some of these people have come up with their own brands, right? Like their own sprays, but a lot of this stuff is purchased by like perfume manufacturers, right? Or cologne manufacturers, right? They'll buy
ouds.
Like oud, but like, I mean, but there's types of oud, right, that they buy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So with that being said, where's the... So here are some. Where's that those three collections that I brought?
Which one? These ones? Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so yeah, I just wanted to. So here, let's put them right here. This one is actually a Borneo oud, right? From right next to Indonesia. A phenomenal, very earthy, almost vanillic, with hints of cola. Here, why don't you give it a shot? And so, it's interesting, what he was saying about why I ask people what you think of it, right? There's two reasons. One, it's interesting to get that perspective, right, as to what others experience from it. Not only that, but I get to learn your nose and perhaps build you a blend one day that will blow your mind away. Because it literally goes with your nose and your skin chemistry.
So what?
And when you get that. Sorry, when you get that perfect blend, man, I mean, there's nothing better than that.
See, like I remember when you had designed this one for me, and we were talking, and I thought you thought it was a very mediocre smell, but I liked it. And,
really?
Okay.
So it's interesting. So that's another thing, right?
Yeah.
Is I always tell my repeat clients and my good friends and closer ones to bring back, what I had made them.
Yeah.
And I wanna ask you about this, but did you apply some, by the way?
Yeah, no, I didn't like it actually.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I don't.
But did you smell it just from the stick, right?
Yeah, I just smelled it from the stick.
So a lot of times, when you smell it directly from the bottle or from the stick, it's like way different than when you apply it on your skin.
Yeah.
So it's a whole different ballgame.
That takes
what I did was like,
but oud is definitely, it's like you said, what's that word? It's an acquired taste for sure.
Right. Yeah.
So we did that experiment with this one. Like this is the Choco Vanilla, right? When he first smelled it, he's like, "Oh, I don't like it." And I'm like, "Yo, put it on your skin first."
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh,
yeah."
It smells yeah. And that's
by the way, I'm not offended in the least. By the way,
no.
Just put it out there. Yeah, it's like this is. It's
because there's like a million things that you make that I love.
That's what.
So it's not like.
I was just
Yeah.
So that's the one that I like, and maybe it took time to age.
You know what? There's ambergris in here, man.
Yeah.
I remember when I put this together. Now I can actually smell it like come right out on the top notes.
Yeah.
This is wow.
And I had time to sit there and kind of
absolutely
macerate.
Yep. Right. And when you give things time to age, just like wine, you said earlier, right? It subhanallah, what actually happens is that the base notes, which are the most intense notes, come to the top,
and they tend to fizzle out just a little bit, and it kind of comes.
You mind?
No, go ahead. All means.
this is something, man. This is subhanallah. Like, believe it or not, like I'm actually blown away. Oh, subhanallah. This is actually, you know what? And again, if Mustafa is listening right now, he's from Yaseen LLC. You got to check him out. He's the one who I've learned almost all of my blending from. Right. I'm not by any means an expert or, at that level yet. But
Yaseen LLC?
Yaseen LLC. YAASEEN.
Okay.
Yaseen. So he really puts in the... So check this out. This is our...
Oh, this is the one I use all the time.
Yeah.
This is the go-to. This is like a
No. So I'm not talking about the perfume. I was talking about the cap and the Yaseen.
Oh, okay.
bad.
Yeah. Oh, I got it. Yeah. Because I have a lot of this one too. That
Yeah,
I keep in the
I
car
get
and
one
just-
like that, yeah.
spray. I like this one too. This is my go-to, like in the car.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's just this quick spray one, pump one. What
So take a look at the logo on the top.
Oh, I love this. This is the one that you just
This one?
had
Yeah,
the chef
this is,
try?
and when we first smelled it, it was like, he's like, it's not that great. I'm like, yeah.
Subhanallah,
yeah.
It's incredible how it evolves.
And there's another one like that too, and this one's a really musky one. And I think when I first got it, I was like, I liked it, but I wasn't super impressed. You really liked it.
So I did bring coffee beans for you guys, just in case.
Just to kind of palate.
Yeah,
clean
reset the palate.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I love
So let
this.
You love it, really?
This one is
Yeah.
really good.
Wow. Yeah.
It's
And
it-
to be
this
honest,
one
I
has
have
like
to say it's affordable. That
this
one.
one is kind of floral and
Yep.
almost has
It's like a
citrusy vibes.
it's like a Fresh Friday vibe.
yeah.
It's like a vibe, you know.
Yeah, it's got a fresh feeling.
Yeah.
There's
So
so many
small
descriptions that you
coffee
just
beans so
can't.
you can reset your palate. Okay. So this guy is one that I didn't really like in the beginning, and you liked it, and I think now it's phenomenal. Ooh,
I can see just by the color of it. I can see there's musk in there.
this is amazing. Just a little dab.
I'm surprised you actually like. Subhanallah. How many did you get that time?
I got so much.
can't.
I got this
so
one.
high.
A little bit. I got them at the house too. I got some other stuff too, but yeah. So I like this one. In the beginning, I didn't like it, but now it's kind of like a little forest.
No, but this is unbelievable. I mean, subhanallah.
Yeah.
This stuff. It's really interesting when you go back to what you have created. This is almost more than a year ago.
Yeah.
Do you ever like forget what your concoctions were, like the formulas of?
So you have to understand, right? Artistry, as you already know, right? Again, it's not about formulations. It's not about a specific amount, and it's the dash here and a splash there,
Yeah.
right? And in the moment when it smells like something, unless you're creating a series to be released,
Yeah.
that's a different story. Like we came out with our Ramadan series last year. We had Oud Siyam, Oud Qiyam.
I remember I had those.
You had those?
Yeah.
I think you had that collection. Right. Other than that, it's all about your emotions of the day, right?
So how did you get into this? What made you want to explore this and make it a business and
This is beautiful, man.
explore the science?
Barakallah feek. So yeah, that's a good question. Of course, alhamdulillah, when I was really young, my father would go to the subcontinent and
Yeah, it's good.
Right.
And I'm glad you
nice.
mentioned that because you mentioned earlier something too. I want people, before you talk about this, is a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to get the best oud from Saudi Arabia or this. And they don't realize that, in my opinion, some of the best smelling oud, this is subjective, but the best smelling oud will come from like Japan or like Cambodia.
Cambodia, right.
Like the eastern, even some parts. I'm not a big fan of oud Hindi, but there are some variations of it that are really amazing. And oud Hindi for me is one that I can't do it just completely alone, but mixing it with other things, it's an excellent mix.
Yeah, Hindi oud is generally good for blending, although I like it neat as it is, but it's just like, yeah. So yeah, it's excellent when you blend, especially with rose, but this is a vintage, by the way. About 20 years old, man. It's really good stuff.
Let me, this has been aged.
Yeah, this has been aged, and you will notice like there is hardly any fecal element to it.
Yes.
It's a lot of those barnyardish notes have been.
So I was gonna say that my problem,
That's the description I want to come on when you some of the scents, the base scents you were talking about.
Yeah,
they had that barnyard
So
smell.
you'll smell this. It's not oud Hindi was brand new. It's a more barnyardy. This is still mild, but and so this would be a great thing to play on.
you're still at the stable, but a little bit further away.
Yeah.
No. This is so I can tell that there was that barnyard element that it started off with, but that's dissipated now.
Yeah.
And now you can actually get some of the other notes.
Yes, and then that would probably make a great mix with anything else.
Oh yeah, phenomenal.
Like a little bit of
Especially with
jasmine,
something
rose.
like rose.
Yeah.
In fact, I bought a Ta'ifi rose with me.
Oh, yeah. Let me see that.
This stuff is mind blowing, brother.
So you were continuing about.
Oh,
Yeah. So I'll have you have that, and I'll start with that. So subhanallah. You know, when I was younger, my father would return from India, and he wasn't far off from Kannauj, right? That's where his village was, and he would return from these huge silver, like 1 pound canisters. And back in the day, I mean, it wasn't that difficult to bring it in. You know, we're talking almost 4 decades ago, man. Subhanallah. And so he would bring those in, and lo and behold, I would sit there and I would blend them. I would just take them and I would play with them, right? And my father would in turn go around and he would go and sell them. And like that in Montreal, anyway. That's where I'm from, by the way.
Yeah.
You're from the French Canadian part.
French Canadian, mais oui.
You speak French?
Mais oui.
Je parle français, oui, oui.
Mais oui. Avec les accents.
Are you a Habs fan?
Yeah, of course.
Boo! I mean,
come
listen.
on, man. There's no. You can.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Sure. Okay. But yeah, you know, born and raised there. There was a whole different swing to perfumery as well.
Mm-hmm.
They were all very much influenced by European and French perfumery, right? So it was very different. But in any case, at one point or another, that stopped. That blending stopped. My father kind of, you know, went on and he opened up a butchery, right? And he would sell, because there was no halal meat. Like he came in from Germany in the late 70s. He was in Germany for about 10 years, and he came in from Germany, and like I said, there was no halal meat, so he would literally go to the farm, you know, pack up his Plymouth Voyager, you know, that squared out van, and he would go around in the neighborhoods and try to promote the idea of eating halal. Anyways, time progressed, and after, you know, finishing and completing my studies and all that good stuff, and finally ended up here, and that's literally when I got in touch with it again. And like I said earlier, you know, Ansar was one of my inspirations to kind of dive right back into it. You know, heavy. At earlier stages, I was just a collector, and most of my collection consisted of Ansar Ouds. And so, you know, so at this point, I'm collecting as a hobbyist, right? But as well as monetizing it, right? And so that's when we came out with abooud.net. We'll have the link and whatever else. But
no, I mean that's and this is no shit to anybody else, but it's just that sometimes what I like about this story though is that we can take the lesson that we don't have to wait for something to be popular among non-Muslims when we already have this in our own culture. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, it took someone like that to make it, we know they're selling to perfumers like Gucci and Tom Ford. This stuff is great, right? Yeah, but we knew this for 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Like, this is our culture. Like,
Absolutely.
and now someone else makes it popular, and now we feel, it's great stuff now. We like it, right?
Yeah.
No, we are people, and the beautiful thing is that this is something connected to our tradition, even Islamically.
Absolutely.
There's things about smelling nice and the healing properties of smelling nice and burning, you know, certain scents. Like there's a healing property, inviting the malaika, you know, just getting, and sometimes even spiritually aligning yourself, like waking up and, you know what, I'm going to pray qiyam, but I'm going to prepare myself. I'm going to light some oud. I'm going to put on my best fragrance. I'm going to meet Allah smelling nice. Right?
Yep, absolutely.
And that's where this idea came from, that you want to meet, you look your best on Friday, smell your best on Friday. Absolutely. You want to meet your creator looking and smelling your best. The Prophet loved nice things. The angels gravitate towards nice smelling things, right? The shayateen don't like nice smelling things. They like the unclean things, right? This idea is central to about the idea of cleanliness being part of our iman. There we go. Exactly. Yeah. It's a part of our iman to be clean. Yeah. And this is what I love about it. But it just, sometimes it saddens me that it takes a non-Muslim to light that fire
to wake up
behind the Muslim one. we should be trendsetters. Like this should be our thing. Like people should be saying, "Oh man, you know, like there's no reason why every single person who makes and distills oud shouldn't be a billionaire now because of what the perfume industry wants to do."
It's liquid gold, bro. It's liquid, yeah.
And but it's someone else now. Like someone like Tom Ford will buy maybe a little bit of that and then synthetic stuff and sell millions of bottles of this stuff and profit off of something that we've already known for generations
in our tradition.
Yeah, and it's even better than this.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is just a dab of like what our stuff really is. And that's what I wanted to get the people to understand too, that this is not just about oud, it's about taking pride in our traditions and our culture, our history. This is all very important to our identity.
Sheikh, when you smell a Tom Ford oud, do you know what that smells like? Maybe you can hand it over to him.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. Like,
what exactly makes it so expensive?
I hesitate to take a whiff even of these things. Trust me, I don't even need this for smelling this because it's so powerful as it is. You know, you can ask my son. So he will be, you know, sometimes he'll be at the shop and one of the ladies came in the other day and she was going through all the, you know, because we have that collection nonetheless that the people like, and
Hawas
we have
and,
Hawas and the Yaras and the you know, whatever else, and I got one of them here as well. This is,
I brought one the other day, the spice one, whatever it was.
Look what it says: strictly oud.
Ministry oud.
Like the
ministry.
Yeah. So
it's all right. Like it's kind of flower. It's not bad. But it's,
you know,
but it's definitely like, you know, it's not like
So inshallah, I'm confident that it's gonna stick in my lineage as time progresses. Yeah. So the lady comes up to him and says, "Which one's your favorite?" My son's name is Yahya, and he says, "Well, I don't do synthetics." And that was like a proud parent moment, man. I was like, "Yeah."
I like this. Whose is this? Yours?
This is his.
Actually, it's not mine. To be honest, it is mine, but it's from the shop.
Yeah. Like, it's a synthetic oud.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a you know, it's okay stuff, I guess, for
entry level. It's just one of, you know, like it's like on a go spray, like it's one of your daily stuff.
Yeah, spray and go, you know, sort of thing. But what was your question again? Like, what do I feel about this?
Yeah. So what makes it so expensive? Like,
what makes this so expensive?
Other than
I'll be honest. Yeah, there we go. That's it. This 1, 2, 3, this 8-letter 2 words right there. Damn, TOMFORD. That's it. That's about it. Because if you came to my lab, bro, I could.
I did come to your lab. Huh? I was at your lab.
I know. Inshallah, when you will come to my lab, there's a difference. If and when, right? So when you come to my lab, inshallah, I will put together for you something that is similar to that in less than $1.50.
The thing about
less than $1.50, and you multiply that by 100, bro.
Wow,
150.
Yeah, the thing about this is
unbelievable.
That these are. My point was that I brought this because these people are inspired by our original stuff.
Yeah. So going back to that point that you were bringing across, right, and not to discredit everyone. Yes, and I totally get what you're saying, right, about why, you know, it took Tom Ford and Gucci Oud to come out and say, you know what, this is, and that's where the hype came in. And you go on TikTok now, and this stuff is viral, man. It's going crazy, and people are putting bank on that, man. People are.
I've seen non-Muslims are making reviews of like the stuff Hawas and there's other things like that.
But you know what? I take solace and I take satisfaction to the idea that the reality is that that's not actually oud. So, you know, I'm like, it's all good, man. So you sniff away at your Gucci and at your Tom Ford, and it's all good.
So Tom Ford isn't actually oud, is what you're saying.
That's not even there's not a hint of oud. And here, so that's exactly why I bought. I get really passionate about that.
Because that's what I want to understand.
Yeah. Like you can smell the difference now, right? After smelling real, like concentrated stuff, you smell this and you're like, this is just, I mean, it's a nice smell, but it's not oud. Like there's no lingering effect.
Exactly why I bought these 2 bottles here. Mm-hmm. And this is what they use in these designer perfumes and trick the people or market the people into believing that that's actually oud. And now I dare you to smell that, bro. That literally smells like the best perfume from Abdul Samad al-Qurashi. It's unbelievable. This is from Firmenich. It's like a large. Yeah, It's straight. There's not a drop.
But see, I can tell it's synthetic.
Yeah. Well, you can. You can.
So
right?
the idea is that I can smell the smell in it, but you know how I know it's not synthetic? I know it's synthetic?
No.
Because usually, okay, I want you to smell and I'll tell you how I know. Smell it?
Okay.
No, whichever one you want. They'll both it'll have the same effect, but just smell it? Okay. So it smells nice, right?
It has, you know what it has? It has like a roundness
And
to it. It feels like...
Yeah, it's made that way. It's made that way. It's
But-
made that way in deliberately.
There's also one more thing. Oud, even after you smell it, it still lingers in your nose. There's an after smell you're gonna get from oud.
that's
You
a
don't
nice
get an
one.
after smell from this.
Yeah.
It just stays where it is, and that's it.
Yeah.
The oud you smell, it goes in. One thing, a prominent quality of good quality oud is the initial smell is often different than the after smell.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna get that. They're both good, but there's two different experiences you get from the oud.
Yeah.
You don't get
experience,
this
for
from
sure.
the synthetic.
No, you don't. It's just linear.
Yep.
It's linear, straight. That's all you're going to smell throughout.
Yep.
There may be a little
no
bit of difference in
experience.
the dry. There's no experience. There we
Yeah.
go. There we
Yeah.
go. Yeah, absolutely. It's incredible what the world has brought oud to become, and people have believed it to be. It's unbelievable. But be it as it may, right? I have this one.
Oh, so I see there's a logo.
Well,
familiar logo.
that's more for wholesalers. I mean, this is not something that the regular. It's fine, but yeah, it's not something that your regular consumer is gonna go and purchase.
Yeah.
That's like for perfumers, technically.
Yeah,
that company
exactly.
anyway. But it's Firmenich, yeah.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the company. That's
Oh, really?
No.
yeah.
Interesting, yeah.
In another life, we'll talk about some of the
Yeah,
show.
absolutely. But yeah, like I was saying, there has been people around, and the reality, alhamdulillah, it's been in our tradition, and it's been there for a very long time, and it took the non-believers for us to wake up and say, yeah, and we're trying to own it back now, But then again, there's been people in our industry, there's people around that been at it from the beginning.
No, absolutely, and those people are the ones that you should go to now. Like, I mean,
Right.
if someone who's new in the game because they came in because they're non-Muslim, their chances are it's a fad for them. Yeah. They might like it now, tomorrow they're going to be gone. They might just mix it because they truly don't understand what oud is.
Yeah.
But now I'm glad the hype is there. But now understand why it cost money, why the process behind it, why it's expensive, and the differences between the synthetic.
And it's
and
interesting how one person will smell oud, right? That's just a stepping stone, and it almost every time this happens, and I will put out ads on Facebook, for example, for these. The hawas and the khamras and whatever else have you, and they will come into my shop, and the minute they step in, and as soon as they will smell the aroma of just the shop itself, I swear to you, they will walk out with something entirely different than what they came in for. So that's an interesting. It captures the mind almost immediately. It's very therapeutic. It's very therapeutic. For example, this one right here, I'm going to have you smell. This one is a low soak. I actually call this one Thai art. It's from Thailand, but it's very artistic. It's a phenomenal, sort of a profile to it. And so let me just quickly explain the difference between a low soak, non-soak, and a full soak. This is the hydrodistillation process. So these are the chips, right? Let me just start from the beginning. This is the oud wood, right? This is a chunk of oud. How do you turn this into oil, right? One may wonder. Right? Yeah. And most people will say, oh, it's an extraction. But wait, how do you actually extract it? It's not like a maple tree where, sap is slowly coming out of it.
That looks like my miswak after iftar.
It's the miswak for an elephant.
That's a huge miswak that I need. I got a lot of food stuck up in there.
The way you would do it is that you actually grind it, right, into like almost sawdust. Then you soak it. Okay. Now then, this is where it gets interesting. So when you soak the sawdust or the grinded wood, right? You either soak it for a very long period of time, and I'm not going to go to the technicalities of it. Most people won't even know what I'm talking about. But either you soak it for a very long period of time, and hence you get a very high yield. And the oud is a lot cheaper, but the fermentation is a lot higher. Why? Because it got soaked a lot. Versus something like this right here. This is a low soak. You soak it only for 24 hours. A very low yield, hence a lot more expensive, but zero fermentation. All right. Most people will, and then there's two types of oud, which I want to talk about next. But I really want you to smell. I'm going to have you smell this first this time, and then go around because I want you to have an unbiased. I want to hear your unbiased sort of
Let me get some of
response.
that coffee.
Oh, yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
What's the first word that comes to your mind when you smell that?
Well, it first comes like a fresh coolness.
No,
that comes-
just describe it instead of like I understand you're describing it, but what's the first word that pops into your head? Like, say you were driving down, and all of a sudden you smell that, and you're like,
I mean,
fresh
kind of like that pine smell.
pine. There we go. Good. Okay. Interesting.
You see that?
But it doesn't seem complete to me though. It seems like it's like a base.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Seems like it's like a base that you're gonna add some more things
You have
to
any
it.
You know what I
toothpicks?
smell?
You have any toothpicks?
I smell wood.
You smell wood, yeah, absolutely. And a lot of ouds, you don't smell the clear
Yes.
wood piercing through.
You know what this smells like?
Only when it's
It smells. If you ever been to a wood mill and they're cutting like wood that's not completely dry but semi-wet,
Yeah.
it smells like that kind of wood. Like if you ever walk into a cabin,
yeah.
it's got a cabiny smell to it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Like a summer camp, you walk in and the cabin has like cedar or pine, like it's in there and it's like it's been sitting there.
Yeah.
Like aged wood that's been cut.
Yeah. Yeah, or like, you walk into this cabin and you have like, firewood cut
Yes.
up and just sitting there in the corner. There's just that kind of musty, sort of a woodsy.
It's like almost, I don't want to say, okay, not in a bad way, but stale
stale.
air.
Yeah, I got you.
Stale.
Right?
That's
Almost
the
like
thing.
an antique library or
Right.
something.
It's an antique, stale, like something that's been untouched.
So yeah, do you have
Yeah.
not necessarily a toothpick, but even that little Allen key?
Yeah.
If we can use that, if it's clean,
Yeah. Come on.
Allen key. This is
It hasn't been in a deer's belly button. If that's what you're asking.
that's good enough, bro.
Or how about we just
Actually, you
use
know
this?
what? Forget all
How about
that.
we use the dipping stick right here?
No, halas, I got a pipette.
Oh,
I didn't
okay.
realize I did bring pipettes with me.
Oh, Sheikh
This
Hamad,
is
I
let's
really
came
keep
nice.
prepared, man.
This is
So here, this is
I like
what
this smell,
I
though.
really want to. You like this, yeah?
Yeah.
It's really nice. It's fresh. It's like so that's the first word you picked up on this, and that's good.
And what I
because-
like about there's no Barney smell to it.
So here we go, bro.
I would say this is the opposite of oud hindi.
Absolutely, exactly. That's exactly what it is. The exact opposite of oud hindis.
Yeah.
Zero fermentation. Very
No Barney smell.
there is. When I was in Thailand
I like
last
that.
year, I should have sent you some pictures.
I could
for
tell
you
it
to post.
came from a Barney smell
Yeah.
though. It must have had it in the past, but
So when I was in Thailand last year, one of my distillers, he came up to me and he said, "I want you to have this, and not this one particularly, but its sister." Oh man, subhanallah.
Yeah.
Tell me if you feel or smell. Okay, it's gonna sound really weird, but Skittles. You ever smelled? I know you can't really smell Skittles, but when you put Skittles into your mouth and you kind of bite into it, and you get this burst of flavor,
Yeah.
and that flavor kind of translates into a scent almost, right? It's like like
yeah. It's definitely.
I mean,
an
there's
assortment.
definitely a flavor burst.
a flavor burst. That's it. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm not saying.
Yeah, no.
Maybe I got the wrong candy,
And
but,
it's
but
like,
that flavor
it's
burst
intense.
is what it. Yeah.
It's intense,
Yeah.
but it's a good kind of intense. It's not the overwhelming intense.
Yeah.
It's not the intense where like, oh my god, I gotta pull back.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, I want more of that smell.
And there's that medicinal element to it,
Yeah.
right? The medicinal element, and it's really deep down in its complexity. But
Sheikh, how do people avoid getting scammed? I know a lot of people.
That is such a incredible question.
Because you don't know when you go into some of these markets and when you go for Umrah and stuff, you don't know the quality, you don't know the strength.
Yeah.
People say that everything is the same.
So have you any one of you ever been kind of gypped?
No, I always just go to the really big names. So like when
Okay.
I'm in Makkah, I go to
so here's the
crazy.
thing. So when you go heavy into it, when you're like a serious connoisseur of oud, right? That's when you're actually reaching out to distillers now, and you're trying to bypass the commercial vendors, right? And technically, like for example, we'll just take Ansar since we're talking. I mean, yes, he's not commercial as in his product, but he is technically commercial. He's out there, people trust him. So not in that sense, he is commercial.
He's known,
He's known, yeah, right,
a reputable,
yeah,
producer.
reputable, yes, absolutely.
And that's why when I went to Turkey,
Prices, I don't know. We'll talk about that later,
Yeah.
but yeah. So, connoisseurs, they tend to reach out because it's like that, it's like an addiction you can't satisfy. It's like you're chasing the dragon. Oh my God. Like the wrong word.
Chasing the dragon.
Chasing the oil,
That's
right?
a drug abuse term, Sheikh.
Oh, I'm glad you have that. I was gonna bring that in. The pouch with the logo on it and everything, because I want to talk about the logo. But anyway, so you're chasing that. You're chasing that. What's that word I'm looking for? When you crave for something, you're chasing the.
You're fiending for it.
You're fiending for it, right? Whatever.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
you're
like
chasing that.
It's almost like the initial. Like the first time you had it, you're trying to chase that first smell.
First smell, right? And
Yeah.
you keep wanting more and better and better,
Yeah.
and you get a better understanding of it, because the moment you start smelling ouds and you're getting more deeper into it, your olfactive mind kind of opens up more and more, right? And you dive more deeper into it. So with that being said, a lot of these connoisseurs are the ones that like most of the time get gypped, and who else? Perfumers like myself, right? Because we're trying to get stuff from distillers in Thailand and in Cambodia, and what you're having yes.
So real quick, a distiller would tell you maybe like a 1 kg bottle or something like that, right? Is that what they're doing?
Well, see that's for the more commercial ouds, but for the ouds that we get, the yield or the entire batch is about 7 to 10 tolas. And what is a tola? A tola is just technically just understand it as 10 grams.
It's a gram, right? Yeah.
Right, 10 grams is a tola, and a tola bottle. This is actually a tola bottle right here. That's like a 12-gram bottle, and that's generally the price mark of which most people use, right? That's kind of like a benchmark price, so to speak, or quantity volume. So, anyways, it's not people like just the everyday user that's gonna go out of his way and then all of a sudden get gypped. No, because he's not actually unless he's getting gypped because of the quality of the oud. Well, that's a different story. So
let me ask you, like this one, like when you get 10 tola like this, right? And I'm saying that, okay, so obviously the process is they're taking the tree, they're chopping it up, it's getting soaked for however long, low or high soak, whatever. But beyond that, they can distill further, right? Like meaning
like
the
a
smell.
Second distillation.
Yeah, isn't like a process?
Reuse the wood.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think they go through another it's just I don't know what it's called, but I know there's like a secondary process they do in Japan to get more of like a woody. I was reading about it.
That's called curing. I should have brought the bottle with me. So a lot of times you do the curing in a camel skin bottle.
Oh,
right?
camel skin.
Yeah.
What does it make a difference?
So basically, the camel skin, the bottle is very breathable.
Okay.
So it kind of helps remove all those heavy
the fumes top notes.
The heavy top notes or the unwanted heaviness, or even the fermentation, for example, and or the water content. So that's what's called curing. Yeah. Because when the oud is being hydro distilled. Hydro is what? H2O. It's not hydro. It's not hydro.
Hydro bodies.
Hydro bodies. Right. I don't think there's too much distillation going on in Hyderabad, by the way. It's mainly in Assam. It's mainly in Assam and Kannauj and Nagaland and those places. But anyway, so when the oud is coming out from the beaker, it comes out along with the water. That it's because it's a hydro distillation or a steam distillation. It's the water that's going in there, and drop by drop the oils are coming out. So then that's when you need to kind of cure it. Some people put it in the sun, for example, and let the water get cured or evaporate. But some say, it's not the right way to do it, and whatever else have you.
So do you plan to chop this up?
No, I plan to frame that. So people will think that that's a very expensive piece of wood. Yeah. But the reality is it's not. It's really because.
So let's say you wanted to buy a piece of wood like this.
Yeah. So the reality is that, look, let me show you real quick, and maybe you can somehow zoom it in. But you see the heart heartwood right here, the darkness. Mm-hmm. That's the actual resin. Everything around it is white wood. It's considered what we call in the industry boya. They call this boya wood, B-O-Y-A,
unwanted,
or white wood, or
unused wood, pretty much. I mean, not useful, right?
Uninfected, so to speak, right? Because the infection is in the
There's nothing to extract
There's
from
nothing.
it.
I mean, people do it. It will also be used in the distillation.
Okay.
But in and of itself, like if I took a chunk off of this and started and burnt it, it would smell like just a fireplace.
Okay.
That's about it. But what was I getting at?
But
Was
the inside would have a
how
different
much
smell?
of this
Yeah.
yields, for example, a tola? That's what we really
Yeah.
want to know, right?
Yeah.
So we're talking about 3 kilos of this wood, give or take. Now, no yield can be
Determined, right, yeah.
Determined, right, or
Yeah.
predicted. It's always about the content that's inside here, and that's up to Allah. And that's why the iman of a distiller, Allahu Akbar, right? You got to have some good iman.
So that wouldn't even probably produce a couple grams.
Not even, bro. Not even. No, sorry, not a tola. 2 to 3 kilos. My bad. I gotta correct myself.
Okay.
2 to 3 grams, not 2 to 3 tolas. So 2 to 3 kilograms is gonna yield about a few grams.
That's a lot of wood.
That's a lot of wood. And that's very little oil. And that's
So now you
why-
begin to understand why it's expensive.
There we go. And technically, if you really break it down, it's more expensive than gold. Now, bringing that to Assam, unfortunately, 90% of the population of Assam is Muslim. All right. If we, as an ummah, were upright in terms of our dealings, namaz, honestly, everybody prays, man.
Sheikh, are you saying they're crooks in Assam?
For lack of a better word, yeah. I mean, I'll say chor nikal ke bhaga, right? So not all, of course, right?
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the reason I say this is because the economy of Assam and India in and of itself could have been so high. This is liquid gold, bro. This is more expensive than okay, what's the price of gold? Can you check maybe?
It's like 2,000 some odd dollars.
Per gram. Let's try to break it down, or by ounce.
Yeah, let me look it up.
Just to get an idea, right? Perspective on.
Yeah, let me just look it up. By the way, while I'm looking this up, South India is known for its sandalwood.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember me and Sim were talking a while ago? That guy, what was the guy? Vagabond or whatever.
$2,161.
Yeah, that was the
per
guy.
ounce.
Remember he stole a bunch of sandalwood from the Indians.
Yeah.
They
Well,
took over the forest.
interestingly enough, the same thing happened with Sri
Oh,
Lanka.
Veerapan.
Yeah, Veerapan.
Veerapan, yeah.
That's his name, right? Yeah, Veerapan was a guy in the 80s
No.
that basically was like this guy that
was a
wanted to
bandit.
rebel against the Indian government.
Right.
And apparently in South India, like a sandalwood is owned by the government, right? But he just took it over
That's
and hijacked it.
probably around Mysore because that's the most famous of the sandalwoods.
Yeah, and apparently this guy was like just with this giant mustache going around and was like just chopping up Indian soldiers that were come after him. And he stopped the production of like a sandalwood.
Incredible. Wow.
Well, he took it over.
Yeah.
Him and his bandits, they took over all the sandalwood production
Okay.
because they had such a huge forest and
Yeah.
they knew it like the back of their hands.
Yeah.
So the Indian government would keep sending commandos in the forest trying to hunt him down. They would all come back in dead bodies.
So I should say that he did a bunch of other stuff before, but the government got involved when he took that over because it was like their main, like they make a lot of money from it. So when he started taking that over, and he was basically taking that money to help his own villagers or whatever, that's when the government got involved. Like, hey, you can't steal our money, and they just started running operations until they got him.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No, I would imagine. I mean, it's like I said, sandalwood is right after oud, and oud, I guarantee you, it's more expensive than gold. And if Assam, did what they were supposed to do as right Muslims, because the Muslims ma'amalat, their dealings are supposed to be primary, man, like our akhlaq and all of that. But of course, this is all work in progress for you and I and for everyone.
Yeah.
But anyway, the point is that. Okay, so I want to tell you this it says very similar situation happened with Sri Lanka. And you know what? Unfortunately, I missed bringing out that one oud that I really did want to bring. It was from Sri Lanka.
Okay.
Oh.
Celestial. And if you go on my website, it's actually called Oud Adam Silani. The story behind that is that, China came into Sri Lanka because they always know, right, ahead of time, 10 years ahead of time, they know what's going to go. They after that agar wood, right? They were after that agar wood, and they came in with the excuse of getting the lumber, and Sri Lanka did not know at that time. And Sri Lankan oud just recently surfaced. Before that, it was just simply Thailand, Cambodia, Indonesia, Malaysia, for the most part, and Assam and India. That's it, right? And so the Chinese came in, and for years upon years, they started to clear out their forestry. And sooner than later, they figured out that what they were actually taking was agarwood, was actual oud.
Wow.
And when they found out, that's why in Sri Lanka you only have about 3 to 5. Literally, you can count on one hand how many distributors of oud you actually have. You can't. There's not too many people out there dealing oud.
So
Because it's controlled by the government. Yeah.
What about Pakistan? Do they have a lot of agarwood or no?
I mean, it would have been a bigger disaster thing.
Yeah, yeah, true.
But no, I mean. People may have it, but not that I know of. And
I could imagine like Kashmir maybe has some.
Kashmir, I would imagine it's too dry, to be honest with you, and it's more the mountainous regions.
Yeah.
So, wallahu alam. But as much as
you
Sri
need
Lanka,
like flat, like tropical weather to grow this.
Yes, tropical, yes. Flat, no, because Sri Lanka is mountainous, and the oud from Mount Adam, or where Adam alayhi salam came down, Maulana Badruddin Ajmal, the CEO of Ajmal Perfumes, he, by the fadl of Allah, came to my lab about almost 6 months ago. He was here in Chicago.
Oh.
And he came through. He was so surprised. He looked at all this. He was blown away. Maulana Amin came as well. But anyways, that's a story for another day. So he came in and he saw all that and he sat me down and I had him smell that particular oud from Sri Lanka. And we call it Oud Adam Silani. And he smelt it and he said, subhanAllah, he goes, let me tell you something. It's an Israeli riwayah, but I'll tell you anyway. He goes, La yusaddiquhu wa la yukadhibu, right? So he said, when Adam alayhi salam descended upon this mountain from Jannah, he came down. Say it. You're smiling at me he's about to say, with a sapling of oud.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it's not authentic. It's,
Yeah.
Israeli riwayah for
It's
the
what they
viewers.
say about
it's something
it,
you
but
you can't authenticate, nor can you falsify.
Yeah.
But when you put the logic together, I wish I had it with me, subhanAllah.
Yeah.
When you put the logic together, the oud from there is absolutely 100%, 360-degree difference or 190-degree difference from any other region of oud. So every oud has its own profile, and every region has its own profile, has its own actual species as well. You have the Aquilaria melanensis. From Sri Lanka, it's called the Walapatta. The Grinops Walapatta. That's the
Does the United States have its own distinct smell?
It's interesting that you ask. There is someone that recently surfaced in California, a little bit southern California, that started to distill oud, but not grow.
Because you think if you've been to the cedars of California,
I haven't.
You think they have some. I'm sure they're all protected trees because they're Californians. And
cedar wood is phenomenal, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm sure you could extract some kind of quality.
But
I would imagine
types,
that someplace in America, because Allah has given this country
so it has to be tropical.
Well,
it does have to be
Allah
tropical,
gave it pizza too. I mean, after that, everything else is like, okay, would you rather have pizza or?
I mean, I could imagine like maybe like because like the Caribbean, like Cancun is very like tropical. Like I'm sure there's got to be something like what I mean. Like it's just I don't know, but
it's not only the tropics. It's the soil. It's the
I was gonna say that
and,
too because I think like I can tell the difference between where some of these trees are grown because there's a soil smell to it that's different, and I can tell the difference between Japanese versus Hindi versus Cambodian versus Thai. I can tell a difference between there's a different type of smell to it.
So with that being said, I want you to smell this heritage Cambodia. So now we're talking about oud. We used 4 different types of wood to distill this oud. Wow. 4 different genres, so to speak, of oud wood.
So while I'm smelling this, let me ask you: do people in Cambodia and these areas, do they understand the value of this stuff?
You know what? That's a good question. I would say, in my limited knowledge, I mean, I don't entirely know, but I would say no. 70% of Cambodians, I don't think they... When I went to Indonesia, okay, I know I can speak on Indonesia. When I went to Indonesia, this was just last year, and they call it garu there, garu. Gharu.
Like daru?
Like daru. Without the it's just daru. Right. So,
you know what I also smell in this?
Yeah.
And I'm curious to know whether this is something that is extracted. Tobacco.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. I
I'm
smell
so
tobacco now.
glad you picked that up. Here, let me take some out from there and apply it on your skin.
It's like a
bro.
tobacco-y leather smell.
Yeah.
This is what we call heritage Cambodia. Okay, heritage Cambodia is a phenomenal. I'm going to use a new pipette for this. This is the other thing. People are very. Okay, look at the viscosity of this thing, bro. You see that? Wow. Isn't that incredible?
Oh, I can tell.
This is the classic scent profile with a rich and a very luxurious scent profile.
This is the kind of stuff that people want to put on the dead bodies when they're going away, but they can't afford it.
You know what? Subhanallah.
You know what? I put this
low and behold,
on my dad when he passed away a month. I used this kind of the same Cambodian Oud. I doused him in it. I mean, like I people are like, oh, it's special. I'm like, don't worry about it.
Yeah, man. Like what?
So send him off
not,
good.
Man.
Do people or extractors extract scents from tobacco leaves?
Absolutely. I have a tobacco leaf absolute. And it's a very interesting, sweet, very, earthy, damp sort of a scent profile. And I think you can pick up the notes on that, right? A very damp, earthy, kind of almost cherry-like, but a dark cherry, you know? Almost very similar to what you're smelling right there.
Yeah.
This is a phenomenal Cambodian oud.
This is a very earthy one that we did.
Did we?
Yes, this is a very earthy one that we wanted to do.
Oh, this is nice, mashallah. I pick up the amber. I put ambergris in a lot of your stuff.
No, that's the same amber one, but it's earthy though.
Oh, I see what
that's
you're
the same
saying.
one.
Okay,
Our undertone was the earthy.
Yeah.
And then we top it off.
You know what it was, and I can pick it up clearly. It's an attar. It's not an attar. It's an oil called mitti.
Mm-hmm.
They actually distill mitti. You know what is mitti, right?
Earth. Oh.
They distill clay. It's actually distilled from clay. So they crush up these clay pots, the classic clay pots that they use to fill up water and all that stuff. Do you want to smell? Did you smell this?
No.
This is phenomenal.
Yeah. But it has a very earth smell.
But
to
yeah,
it.
I've been thinking about this recently as well about
this.
my funeral, and I'm sure my son will have an ounce of oud with him. I'm sorry to say this, but just bro, you see me, right? Bam! You're dumping that.
Yeah.
The musk.
You know what my love for oud became? So we used to visit the Haram a lot, right? When I was a young child, we used to go to Umra a lot, and I remember this guy, and he was a big African brother, like Saudi, but he was dark. I mean, you could tell originally he was African, but he's Saudi, and he had one of those like bottles, like the tin ones that were, you're talking about maybe 1 kg, whatever, or less than that, half kg, and he was emptying his hand and he's rubbing it on the Kaaba, right?
The Kaaba,
scenting the wall before Jummah, right? And then he's walking around just high-fiving people, going like this, boom, boom, right?
Serious?
And he gives me this high five.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh.
You weren't in the state of Ihram, were you?
Bro, it was just like I was teleported to a different world. Like, and literally it was like, I want to say the opening was probably just like this, right? Yeah. I mean, maybe this size, but it was literally just like this. That's all he was doing, and he high fives.
Wow.
And that smell on my hand was like just, oh my God. Like, I was like, boo, this guy took me somewhere else.
Wow.
And I'm like, man, and you know how you're talking about how you can't get enough?
Yeah.
I'm always trying to recreate that moment. When I buy oud, I'm like, I want that kick. When I got oh man. Yeah. I want to be taken back at that. Like I got that. Like I was awakened. Like
there's some smells that are just tied to memories too. Like that you want. It may not mean a whole lot to other people, but to you, it reminds you of something from your childhood, some happy memory from your childhood that you have a deeper connection with.
You don't need coffee for that one. Just an FYI.
Okay. You know what? I gotta pie it open or okay. Oh. That's pretty good.
It's powerful.
This is like a very earthy smell too.
This is but very animalic.
Yes.
This is a classic. This
I don't really feel it doesn't smell that bad though.
No, it's not a bad animalic.
Oh yeah,
it's a processed and
mercy that's strong.
Flavor burst. Yeah,
it's that musk, oud, and rose. That's it. 3 ingredients.
Which animal's belly button did this come from?
Belly button, man. It's not gonna go. That's actually deer musk, straight deer musk.
Deer musk?
Yeah, deer musk.
From where? What part of the deer?
The same. I mean, there's only one part that it comes from.
Oh, from the belly button.
It's not from the belly button, you see.
You said belly button.
I did say belly, but it's attached to the belly button. It's not like because belly buttons stink like in a bad way. You know what I mean?
This is a bunch of belly buttons.
Yeah, belly buttons. Oh, hang on. Show it to the camera. Show it to the camera. So belly buttons. Mort's holding deer belly buttons.
There we go, man.
I want you to take a smell of this.
Oh, dude, smell it. It's phenomenal, man. But it's strong. Be careful, though, honestly. Oh, dude, you're not smelling. You're smelling it.
I'm smelling it.
Make sure you get someone there to catch him.
Ooh, I didn't have to come close to it.
SubhanAllah.
It's like manure.
Yeah.
No, but it's not only manure.
But
it's
like
more pissy, right?
Yeah.
You smell that
like,
pissy. So a lot of musk will have that. It's very pissy.
So describe the process. You take that belly button and
how do you make it? I'll describe it. I'll show you the maceration. Okay.
So what do you do? Like I come to your lab, Sheikh. I like that belly button stuff that you're doing. I need you to
show me the belly button.
I need you to
something, bro.
I need you to make me a concoction. Yeah. So you take some of that.
I want you to get a closer. Is this the camera right here?
Yeah.
Okay, khalas.
No, right here. This is your camera right here.
Oh, that's it right there, mashallah. Okay. So you see, this is a I can't do it.
No, it's focusing.
It's focusing?
You just have to give it a second.
Yeah, so this is a musk maceration. You can see I put the date on there, January 2022.
Yeah.
This is pure Ceylani sandalwood. And you can see the musk sitting at the bottom.
Ooh, it's got a nice red color to it.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful. And what I'm going to have you smell actually is this right here. So this is the end product. There we go. That's a lot better.
Yeah. Oh, switch.
Yeah.
See,
this part here is what he's talking about.
That's it.
Yeah, this is the so is that will be the pod that was.
That's the pod. That's the dissection. That's what came out of the pod. Right,
and this is mixed with sandalwood,
and this is blended with sand. It's not blended; it's called the maceration. It's more maceration. So we dunk it in there. So
this is in the process of now.
It's already pretty much matured. Yeah. It's 2 years. Most people don't let it sit for that long. I love to age my stuff above and beyond because
this is good.
This is just.
The pod is going to work now.
So that's but Prophet ﷺ, what we understand as prophetic oud. It's not actually an oud. It's what we call the Ghalia.
Oh.
The Al-Ghalia, the Ghalia. And this one right here is a blend of 5 ingredients, including that right there. It's oud, musk, ambergris, rose.
Oud, musk, ambergris, rose, okay.
And frankincense.
Frankincense, okay.
But...
What's frankincense?
Sorry, not frankincense, camphor. Camphor. All right, and I'm going to have you smell this, Habibi.
Okay.
And I really want to hear that first word come right out of you. Like, all right. Okay, boom, that's what I'm, This is the Ghalia. That's one of our releases for Al-Qiyam, Oud Laylat Al-Qadr. That's what we're going to bring out. Oh.
I can't figure it out. It's very complex.
Very complex. There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see that.
But I think you'll be able to pick up.
Let me see. Okay, there's oud. There's some rose in here.
Yeah.
There's some rose in here, right?
Oh yeah, Ta'ifi rose.
Yeah.
There's Ta'ifi rose. There is ambergris. There's musk. And there's the 5 classic ingredients. Nothing more, nothing less.
Any jasmine in here?
No.
Oh, maybe it's just the rose on the smell.
Yeah, it's that rose, the top note. But it's so complex. It has so much depth to it, and it's been sitting like that for almost 6 months now.
I really like this one.
Yeah, Maulana Amin came from Darul Qasim, DQ. Yes. He came in, and
so this one was initially created at January 2022.
Absolutely, yeah. That's when I dissected the pod, put in the grains, then put in the sandalwood. And it's been sitting like that.
So is there any process before putting before putting in the pods? Do you have to do anything to the pods before you drop them in here in the sandalwood?
Well, you do dry them a little bit.
Dry them.
Just a little bit.
So it's not so
it soaks up the sandalwood nicely.
Yeah. So
You know?
okay. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like, so it's not so. Oh, I got it. So it's
Moist.
not moist when you put it in there.
Exactly.
Because you don't want
then it
that
would
to
kinda
override.
exactly. Yes.
At least then, when it's dried out,
Yeah.
it's gonna absorb the sandalwood and let
And-
that be the new juice.
Exactly. The infusion is going to be a lot more meaningful and just a lot more stronger and finer.
So just for listeners out there, how much would a bottle like this cost?
I'll be honest with you. I don't generally sell a bottle like this, but I was going to say what Mona Amin did, for example. That's exactly what he got. And I was surprised. He was on his way to the UK, and his flight was that same evening. He came in the morning. I think he wanted to gift it to his teacher or something. I don't know exactly. But he came in, and subhanallah, I called him as he's at the airport, and I'm like, because his son came to pick it up. I'm like, Maulana, are you sure this is what you want? He's like, just give me that. Just make sure you put that. Don't ask me any more questions. I'm like, all right. A bottle like that, generally, Ansar would sell it for anywhere between $3.99, $4.99, something like that. $499.
I'm saying this much of it.
That much of it.
I'm saying
I'm
that's
talking
it.
about a classic 3 gram.
Yeah, no.
bottle.
I'm asking you, like, let's say someone was in love and they wanted to buy this bottle.
This whole bottle.
Yeah.
Okay, let me see the grading right here. The grading over here is what, about 60 grams. Oh, subhanallah. I need a calculator, man. Literally.
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
So, because I want people to understand how this is calculated. and how
Yeah,
people do
absolutely.
this.
So,
there you go. Because you're seeing the process, you're seeing what goes into it, the elements, you're seeing how long you have to wait for it, right? So I want people to understand what the cost is and why they're spending for this.
So,
Okay.
you see
Yeah.
that? So that's the retail of the entire bottle right there. It's about $5,000 almost.
Yeah.
Give or take $5,000, and that's that price that I put on there
It's
is
very competitive.
generous.
Yeah.
Extremely generous.
Yeah.
Almost 50% of what vendors would charge.
So
out
like,
there.
and Sarah could possibly, that could be upwards of like maybe $8,000, $9,000, $10,000.
That's $10K right there.
Yeah.
Bro. That's $10K.
And that's what we're talking about when we say like this stuff is as pricey as gold.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's about the value, right? It's not even about it's about what it holds and the
So I think what I want
that's involved.
people to understand too is like, just like with, like, if you alhamdulillah, I'm married, so you go, if you want to buy your wife gold, right? You can buy a gold bar and it's expensive, sure, but if you buy jewelry that's made, it's more expensive because you're paying for the craftsmanship. You're paying for the time and effort that went into it. And that is the same thing with oud. Like the craftsmanship and the artistry that goes into producing the flavor, the scent. It's not just about dropping the pod inside of sandalwood. It's the type of sandalwood.
100%.
How much of it? How long did the pod dry for? How long am I fermentating it for? How long, what other scents am I adding to top it off? All the things that because I'm sure when it's producing over 2 years, you're popping it open, smelling, okay, what do I need to add here? Do I need to add this a little bit here or there, right? Like you're probably trying to curate the smell
Absolutely.
in the moment, so you're paying for that process.
Absolutely. It's like a mechanic when he comes in and he goes like this to your car, and all of a sudden the car starts, right? A mechanic comes in and touches the camera like that, and boom, it's on, it's back, it's running. Oh, you charged me $500 for touching the... Bro, it's not about that. It's about all those years and all those sleepless nights that put into acquiring that knowledge of how to do that. So it's the same concept over here, subhanallah. Definitely the same. And thanks for mentioning that, man, because a lot of people do not understand that. And not to mention our Desi community, bro. It's bad. It's horrible. I'll have people come fight with me, bro. Like they will literally just stand there and it's sunnah 3 times. Say, can you give me a discount? Hook it up, brother. All right, cool, no problem. One more time, khalas. Now someone who's not actually gonna go out of their way and give it to you. Like, okay, khalas, man, that's it, that's enough. But
so, what kind of oils or what kind of base is a good base that should be used for dilution? Is there any particular thing that a consumer, someone wants to buy some oud, should look out for? Because I know like alcohol is used as a flavor carrier or
but that's more
carrier. But then
I wouldn't
oils.
call it as I wouldn't call it a carrier for sure, but I wouldn't call it as a dilute. Yeah, you could, but I mean, ultimately, something. Let's say you have a concentrate of a particular oil, right? If you want a blank smell, and a lot of people don't know this ingredient, and I'll just say it since you asked it. Alhamdulillah, no problem. A lot of people use fractionated coconut, a lot of coconut oil. A lot of people will use jaboba, J, you know what I'm saying? But what I use is copaiba balsam. Copaiba balsam is it's like smells almost like sandalwood, but 1/100th of the scent of sandalwood. So you can imagine how light it is. It's like a tiny, minuscule hint of woodiness in that oil. So when you blend that with something, it will almost the latter will always be dominant as the scent profile, right? So copaiba balsam, and the one that I get is actually from Haiti. It's phenomenal. So that's a good carrier. Not a carrier, but rather a dilute.
And another thing people should be aware of is that when you get the spray bottle, that is not going to be as strong as the oil bottle that you get, right? Because the atomizer can't carry the oil out, is what was explained
well,
to
just
me
imagine
before.
like
Is
you're
that correct?
using.
Interestingly enough, how you said that, I'm going to have you smell something real quick, right? Which one?
Isn't that the spray bottle right there?
So no, I'm going to have you smell this. This is from a vendor, and he's actually an elderly gentleman. He goes by the name Rai Munir.
Hey, Munir.
Rai Munir. Yeah, right.
Probably my cousin.
Rai Munir is Punjab, so.
Oh, I don't like those people.
He's from Lahore. He lives in the fields, bro. The rice fields and stuff. But anyway.
But that seems very watered down, though. I'm looking at it.
Well, it is a perfume.
Yeah.
So there's no threshold there.
But the color is like in.
Yeah, it's a very light color. You're right. And you know what? Interestingly enough, you said that because you'll see a lot of Ansar's creations. You see that, right? It's like
Dark.
you can tell. It's like
it's ready to go, right?
It's dark. It's as powerful.
Yeah.
This one,
it's like an ocean in there.
Yeah. This particular one here, I actually got all the way from Pakistan. Right, he's our Pakistani perfumer, and I got this traded for another perfume by the name of Tigerwood. Tigerwood Pure Parfum. But anyway, before I say anything else, I'm gonna have you spray this.
Yeah.
What was it that you said? You said that it's more or less powerful.
Well,
right?
that's what I was told by another perfumer
and I'm gonna spray it on you because it's very interesting how it sprays. It's a really nice atomizer, in my opinion. Okay, I don't want to spray it on any mechanics. So, you see that? Do you see the way it spurts out? Let it sit there for a second, and it's gonna.
It smells chocolatey right away.
Yeah, so that's the musk in there. Well, very little bit of musk, but it's mainly oud in here. It's a oud dominant perfume. Has the hints of rose in there, and this is called Hadir. Hadir by Rai Munir Saab. So. He's one of a pioneer in our industry, in this artisanal industry, mashallah.
Now, why do some people get headaches from certain smells?
Very good question, man. Wow. It's very simple. The answer is very straightforward and very simple. It's synthetic. That's the 9 times out of 10 anyway. 99% of the time, if something is headache inducing, that means there are chemicals in there. That means there are synthetics in there, and it could be a combination of both that you are somewhat
allergic, yeah.
Right?
But see, this smell, it's not bad. But it's very much. I can tell it's based on the Oud Hindi.
Yes, you're right.
I can smell it immediately because it has that barney
artish. Yeah,
it's not bad, but it's just a little bit like
it's like a Jumma scent, you know. But I mean, a Jumma scent, or like it's a masjid scent.
But speaking though, I mean of alcohol, you mentioned that like you can definitely tell in the Ansar bottle, like if it's sprayed, there's a little alcohol in there. Like I mean, it's coming off. You can tell because it burns off a little bit, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Because you also want in a perfume bottle, if you're spraying like perfume, you want it to be able to be spreadable, right? Like usually the oils are not going to be you can't just
Yeah.
if you spray a gob of oil on your shirt, it's gonna get stuck there.
That's
A
right.
guy like this can spray it in a white collar shirt, and
Yeah.
he's not worried about the color getting off. You need so
Yeah.
sometimes they'll
you
do
guys
that.
do understand the difference between eau de parfum. So there's eau de toilette.
Yeah.
There's eau de,
Yeah.
these are all the differences. Eau de toilette, eau de parfum. Then there's pure parfum. Then there's finally extrait. So most of our type of perfumers will either do a pure parfum or a extrait. Very rarely you will see an eau de parfum. And why? It's because the concentration level in an eau de parfum and eau de toilette, which is the first two stages, are very low. So for example, eau de toilette has anywhere between 5 to 7% concentration. Eau de parfum, it jumps up to about 13 to 15. And then finally, a pure parfum jumps up to about 20. And that varies also from perfumer to perfumer. But then finally, an extrait can go up to all the way to 40%.
Wow.
40% concentration.
So are these like French? Like I know you're saying like toilet.
Well, I mean, more like you just gotta.
So no, I'm like, is it? Because I look at it, I'm like, oh, cool. You just went to the toilet. You just went outside. So light spray when you get out. Just cover the scent. But
So
yeah.
that's a eau de toilette, I think. Can I
Yeah.
see that?
Which one? This one?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is definitely It's just a very light smell.
Oh no, it's a eau de parfum. So a lot of
okay.
time, I'm not surprised though. Yeah, the concentration level is pretty high, but it's synthetic. You can smell the synthetic.
Have you smelled this one?
I actually did want to take a whiff of that and see what it's about.
It's not bad, but it's not like what you say is oud. It's oud.
Oh man, see, it hits the mind like bam. It hits me right away. I'm saying in a bad way.
Yeah.
Although it's somewhat pleasant, but unfortunately my olfactory being can't handle it.
Yeah.
Can't.
It just seems like it's. You know what this feels like? It feels like they're nice smells, but they feel forced.
That's right. Yeah, it's interesting the way you put that.
Yeah.
When I first got into perfumery and natural perfumery, one of my mentors, and brother Mustafa from Yaseen LLC, he prepped me. He was like, "Bro, you gotta just
It's not
switch
bad.
you gotta switch to naturals.
Yeah.
You gotta switch to naturals." And he he made it really strict for me. And I said, "Man, I can't smell anything."
Yeah.
When I smelled naturals at that point, I couldn't smell anything. And finally, as time progressed, right, I got more and more used to it. And now it's vice versa. Now when I smell synthetics, I feel it's harming me.
Yeah.
And it's
So-
headache inducing, not to
So
mention.
Sim, like this one, like it smells nice, but you can tell like when you smell the intensity is strong, but then it's just
What's the Gucci what?
it's Gucci intense oud,
Ooh.
right? But
Is that eau de parfum?
it's parfum.
It's eau de parfum.
Yeah.
It's eau de parfum.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
You did. Close enough. As long as you just kind of bring out
Now
that
maybe you can say croissant.
that
Eau de parfum.
Can you say croissant?
Croissant.
It's gonna make the halaqi,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
huruf halaqi.
Yeah.
That's good enough.
But like the initial intense smell is there, but then
Yeah.
it just dies. It's gone.
Yeah.
Right? Well,
That's the other
if you're
thing, yeah.
smelling an oud, like you can tell, oh, it lingers, right?
Yeah.
You don't feel that lingering with this. It feels like it's this forced burst, like I equate it to, like how when you want to, quickly cover up a smell, you just spray some Febreze.
Yeah.
It right away clears it up, right? Cool, but it doesn't last.
That's
Right?
right,
Like
yeah.
it's not gonna last
very
there.
transition. It's like
Yeah,
gone
you
in
just got
minutes,
the
yeah.
initial smell, so that smell is gone from you. But if you walk back in, you're like, oh, I smell it again, right? It's not gonna eliminate the smell.
Yeah.
Oud sticks, like real oud stays and lingers on in a room.
And it
like,
changes, develops.
yeah, like with oud, like if I put on oud in a room, like in the bathroom, I leave in the afternoon, I come back in the evening time, my bathroom still smells a little bit like oud.
Yeah.
You won't have that with cologne,
Yeah.
right? You're not gonna get that, right? So
Talking about, I just want to go back to that. And so another ingredient, and the reason I bring this up is because another ingredient that helps any perfume linger on and build its longevity, its sillage, etc. It's ambergris. When you add ambergris,
What is ambergris?
So I'll get to that in a second. So ambergris is from a sperm whale.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's not the belly button though. This time
It's a sperm though.
It's the, huh?
It's a sperm.
It's the sperm whale. Yeah. It's,
Wait, wait.
It's the poop. It's the
poop.
actual poop of a sperm whale.
Najasi.
Right. Najesi. Straight Najesi. Khalas. and I want to get back to that point if you would remind me later as to how all of these animalics are actually najis and vice versa. So we'll talk about
But
that.
before you get to, I just thought in my head, like, how crazy, like, who would think to pick up whale poop and be like, I'm going to make something smell nice out of this?
Right? They must,
Yeah, I mean, it must have been somewhere where like someone was doing a barbecue or like a cookout, or
And it
something,
accidentally,
and it
like,
burns,
damn,
and
like,
all of
oh,
a sudden,
man.
no,
Yeah.
the reality is that oh well and good, but the reality is that a lot of these things were all used for medicinal purposes in the past. At first,
And that's what mir was used for.
Yeah.
Like in Yemen, that's how Arabia Felix got the name, because the Romans and the Byzantines used to use mir for healing and religious practices.
yeah.
And
wait, what's mid?
Mir, mir or mir.
Yeah.
It's a resin. It's a resin that
grows on the trees.
that
around
grows on
Yemen.
trees. That's right. Yeah.
And so they would take this and they would burn this resin. It's kind of
It's
like,
like frankincense.
yes. And they would burn it. Like so if you went to the Orthodox churches, right? And you ever see that thing where do you ever see, like, you know how if you went to watch Ertugrul and you see like they show the old Christian priest and they're swinging this thing with the smell of burning. That's
Right.
what they're doing. They're burning these frankincense and myrrh, and they're burning it. And the idea is to spirituality and healing and cleansing.
I know sage is burnt as well.
That's what essentially. Well, it's the same kind of process they're trying to do, but they believe.
Is there any flavor extraction or scent extraction from sage?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
okay.
Absolutely.
And what about truffles?
Truffle. Isn't
You're
that
talking about
expensive?
mushrooms?
Yeah, no, but I'm like truffles juice is used like for eyes, right? Like it's meant to be like.
Yeah.
It's really there's a hadith about that, right?
Yeah.
But do they make any? Is there any scent to it? Can they make anything from it? Like
I don't know, to be honest with you. I'm not sure of that, but I know there is, for example, Kistul Hindi. It's a root that's grown in India. It's actually from Hind. And that's why the word Hindi, and so that's going back to Hindi root for a second, real quick.
Yeah.
There's a lot of history in Oud al Hind. Then there's your truffles, there is the Qistul Hindi, there's ambergris. Ambergris is a natural, the big V, man.
yeah, they use it for men.
They use it for men.
Wait.
I don't know if
Ambergris
this
and
is censored, or
shilajit.
can we say this?
Yeah, you can say Viagra. Yeah.
Viagra.
Oh,
We can say Viagra.
It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
what's it called? Aromatic.
No, aphrodisiac.
Aphrodisiac is what.
Yeah, but aphrodisiacs are more like to get you like in the mood. But this is like a
This is
Zubr
like
al-Hadid.
Viagra, Habibi.
Oh.
yeah, like,
That's it. Al-Hadid.
yeah. Yeah, it's meant to be like yeah.
That's it. Yeah, so so honestly, that's what it was used for. That's literally what it was used for back in the day for impotency. It was used heavily, man. And musk is used in medicine in China till today. But these are farmed deers. There are farmed deers in Tibet, in China, and they have hundreds and hundreds of deers. But the smell of that deer musk is very different. It's very tamed because these are farm raised, right? It's just like that whole organic and non-organic argument and blah, blah, blah. But coming back to ambergris, okay, this is one of my favorite raw materials. I'd still say after musk. Musk has a special place in my heart, as it is the soil of Jannah, right? Subhanallah. And then وَخِتَامُهُ مِسْك وَفِي ذَلِكَ فَلْيَتَنَافَسِ الْمُتَنَافِسُونَ. So this guy right here, this little turd,
Whale turd.
the whale turd, right? It poops it out because it eats like these crazy squids and octopus and whatever else. I can't digest it for some odd reason. And as it poops it out, the turd is quite heavy. So it goes to the bottom of the ocean and sits on the bed of the ocean for decades until it gets fossilized. Once it gets fossilized, it resurfaces, right? Because it's light and and it looks like a fossil. If you look at it right closely, it looks like a fossil. And you can maybe show it up, and you can open it up after I mention this last part to you. So it gets fossilized and it resurfaces, and it gets slapped around by the waves in the ocean, and hence it captures the scent of the ocean. Subhanallah. Once it captures the scent of the ocean, it eventually comes to shore. Is it working?
No, it doesn't smell like poop, but
It doesn't. You're right. It smells more like the ocean, to be honest with you.
It's not bad. Has a cool kind of a coolness to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's much better than I imagined.
Yeah, see, it's hard to describe these scents in words, right? So,
Yeah.
but there's a uniqueness to it that you can tell, right?
Yeah.
And so,
Has that oceany
Yeah.
smell. Yeah.
like, yeah. I mean, I tell you. So what it would smell like is, okay. So I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
There's a seaweedy smell to it, but if you've ever had fresh camel milk, there's a little aftertaste of the camel milk, and it smells just like that.
Interesting. I haven't smelled or tasted camel milk, but there is a camel oud milk that just came out in Dubai. A oud vendor just kind of displayed it. I think I forget his name, but it's a camel milk that's infused with oud, like literally the smell of oud. I mean, they're fanatics. They've gone to the degree of just fanaticism. Like, oud is in every. There's actually a sharbat. You ever heard of the sharbat that's actually infused with oud, with the smell of oud? It's phenomenal.
I mean, for them, it's like how we do with also saffron, like saffron, right? You add certain things to it,
and that's another one that's more expensive than gold, by the way.
Yeah. Do you guys use that for extraction too?
Oh yeah.
Saffron?
I
Dude,
did. It was just too much. I had way too much.
He gave me one that was
with me.
infused with saffron, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
But it's expensive. Like a few strands of saffron, you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, it's not cheap.
So I have a little. So here comes the story of saffron now, because now we're talking about Middle Eastern raw materials and so on. Saffron is one of them. About a month ago, there was this couple that came to my lab, and they were an old African American couple, reverts. They accepted Islam like back in the late 80s. And it's a wife and a husband. They make their own soaps and shampoos and whatever else have you. They live like not too far from IFS. I had no idea that they were even there. So one of them the husband is an artist. And they come into my shop to look at a few things. But when they step into the lab, they're blown away. They're like, what? How? Like, who does this? I mean, a lot of people do this, but they don't give access to the public. I guess that's what the reality is. As a passion of mine and not just monetizing the situation, that's what I do. So, they come in, they sit down, and they start smelling the different aromatics and such. And the lady's sitting there, and she has this grin on her face the entire time. And I'm like, didn't really catch on. I thought, she was kind of like, yeah, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. That kind of grin, and I mistook that. Nonetheless, she left. 20 to 25 minutes later, they both returned with a Gucci bag, literally a Gucci bag with little Gucci thingies on them. And she opens up the bag, and she starts taking out bottles. I was like, Allahu Akbar, what is this? And one of those bottles, the husband got from his mentor in India, a bottle of what we today call majmu'ah.
A mixture of what?
It's actually just labeled majmu'ah. It's not actually it is also a majmu'ah, but it is labeled, it's been labeled a majmu'ah for decades, for centuries rather. And she says that this was given to me by her or his mentor. They accepted Islam and they went to India to study. And this when they went to India, this is like late 80s, early 90s. And the stuff back then was still pure, man. It was in its true forms, just like the
No additives. Nothing.
No additives, no synthetics, none of that garbage. And she says, this is the last of what he had, and I want to give half of it to you. Wallahi, I was in tears.
Oh, wow.
I was blown away because, and when you have the experience of smelling this, what I'm holding in my hand right now, Habibi, I'm not going to say any more. Okay. All right, you ready for this?
Yeah, sure.
But here's the other thing though. After this, you can't smell anything else. Not that you can, you won't be able to. That's how powerful this is. And that's the experience that I had sitting in the lab on that day. And I opened her bottle up and I smelt it. And then I was like, you want to smell mine? Because I had majmu'ah too.
Yeah.
Perfume. I collect. Majmu'ah is part of old traditional Indian attars. These are like one of the staple attars of India. If you ask anybody in India, You have Shamamatul Ambar, Majmu'a, Mitti, which is petrichor in English. And they will tell you exactly what it is. But nowadays, unfortunately, it's been synthesized. There adds a bunch of filth to it. And the reason it came to mind is because you said saffron. So saffron is actually one of the ingredients in here. So you want to go ahead and do this?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. There we go. Bismillah.
Do I need any coffee for it?
No, you don't need any coffee for it. That's how good it is.
Oh my God.
You see the eyes, bro? Did you see the eyes fluttering, man? Allahu Akbar.
It's so weird. There's so many smells that I'm getting from this.
But, you know.
I smell saffron.
Yeah.
I smell rose.
Yeah.
I smell oud.
Yeah.
I smell ruafza.
Your ruhab's up. There we go. Yep.
It is phenomenal.
Yeah, I gotta try this.
And, you know, I smelt it and I continued to smell it waiting for a headache. Literally, I was like, it's going to come in. Because I get headaches like instantly when I sell synthetics.
Yeah.
I'm waiting. I'm like, I don't smell it. Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of smells to it.
Yeah. It's just like how Mort's describing. There's all these different flowers you're smelling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's like rose, jasmine, saffron.
It's like a bouquet of flowers that are sitting in oud.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Yeah.
like a woman. See, here's
Just
the thing.
like all these
when
flowers.
you smell this and you understand why the Prophet forbade women wearing scents out in public.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like a woman that would wear that outside and you smell the scent of that walking by, like,
this,
what is that?
Yeah.
Who is that?
Yeah.
Like you smell like it's intense.
Yeah.
It's
It's attractive. It's
very attractive.
It's a call to nature.
right.
It's a call to nature.
Call to nature. Someone's got to use the bathroom.
Call to nature.
To call to your primal nature is what he's trying
Primal
to say.
nature. It's not the belly button.
Well, me and Mort usually bond by sharing our belly buttons. Like, he smells mine. I'm like, Mort, it's only natural.
I'm not gonna forget this meeting, man.
I smell yours.
Allah.
We get closer. It builds brotherhood.
That's it, man. Alhamdulillah. We'll keep it to the mosque.
Yeah.
Yeah, so alhamdulillah, man. This is the beauty of olfactive life. That's what I call it.
And I think the thing about I want people to realize, because we're kind of getting close on time, but the thing is, like, this is just the tip of the iceberg, and I'm sure people will understand, like, the way we're talking about this and the smelling. Like, there's a passion behind it, and it's hard to watch something and try to experience it. I would urge everyone to, if you're in the local area, come by and visit, step in and smell this in person. If you have a local person by you, understand the craft and smell it and partake in it, because it's something that it's an experience that you won't forget, and it'll help refine the type of things that you say smell good, what's quality. Even if you're not going to buy something, you're going to know what's quality, what smells are, where they come from, why it's important, and it may become a hobby or a passion, for you.
Yeah. SubhanAllah. Absolutely.
My sense of smell is gone now.
So you can't smell that. There's no smell to that. So I wanted to talk just a little bit about wood. Yeah. You see, when someone starts this journey of oud, right, and experiences this olfactory, smells of oud and agarwood and naturals, they go from oils to woods, because what the wood will offer you and what the wood will give you is nothing compared to what the oil will. Because where does the oil come from?
The wood.
The wood. So you're going to the source. When you burn that, and this is about out, and that's vintage stuff right there you're holding. That's about $40-$60 a gram.
So let me ask you something. So if we just talk about saying that, okay, to produce a few grams, you need like 3 kilos of wood.
Yeah.
So what do you get with something like this?
So that's for burning.
Right. Okay.
That's for burning. That's for, that stuff when you
so
burn
you can
that.
grind this up and make
show the camera.
Yeah. So you can grind this up and make bakhur from it if you want to.
Technically, yes. And I do that. Yeah. I wanted to show you one last thing.
This is what you guys were just talking about.
Yeah. You can see the different, I have named the different, the different species. Not the species, but the
And that's
the
from
areas.
Japan?
The cases.
Okay, yeah.
No, the wood is actually Moroccan wood. It's Indonesian. Then there is Malaysian in there. There's Hirta. These are all different species. This is the final piece of honor. This is from the beaver.
The beaver's butt.
The Russian beaver. Actually, this one's interesting. This is actually
we
the
like
sexual
beavers.
gland of the beaver.
We like
right.
beavers.
We like beavers. Canadian beavers. Canadian beavers. So what I did, this is my starting, my initial days in experiencing and putting together, just working crazy in the lab, doing crazy things, putting together different things. And I used to see Russian Adam, taking paste of civet,
Russian Adam is a YouTuber. So
Yeah.
Well, no.
Or because I've seen his videos.
Well,
on
he
YouTube.
is. He's a perfumer primarily. But then he puts a lot of his stuff, and he talks about his releases a lot.
Yeah.
Have you seen his stuff?
I've seen a couple videos of his.
He just came out with a recent release. I'm waiting for the sample set.
The guy's nuts. He will go all over.
Yeah,
He will
20 sprays, 30 sprays, man.
just all over his body with 10 different ouds. And you're like, this guy's a madman.
Yeah.
I'm
But he's
surprised
Russian.
you know him, though. SubhanAllah, that's interesting.
Actually, I think you told me about him.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, then yeah. I mean, for a lot of people who are not necessarily into it deep, they have no idea.
Yeah.
But so, he would take civet's paste and I don't know if it's macerated with anything else. I think it's just natural, just straight, and he would just kind of before Jumu'ah, he's standing in Indonesia or Thailand, so he would go out to the park, face a camera towards him, and he would go into the cone and he's scooping up some Vaseline and bam, and you put it on, and then not to mention taking up 20 to 30 sprays of his perfumes, and his perfumes are musk heavy. They're like animalic beasts, bro. He just came out with a release. Go check him out. It's phenomenal stuff. But anyway, and then he would spray himself like 20 times. So what I did is I took castoreum, I grinded it up, and I put Hindi oud in there.
Okay.
And I kept putting it, and the castoreum kept on absorbing it, and I kept putting it. It's about a tola in about a 40-gram bottle of Hindi oud.
Oh wow.
So what sort of a note does castoreum produce? It's the note of leather. Just straight leather. And in fact, go ahead and open that up and we'll kind of end it on that perhaps.
Yeah.
That's yeah, you're gonna have to hold it down. Can't wait to see you won't even that bottle won't even need to come to you. You don't need to even put your nose to it. It's just it hits you different.
It's a very leathery animal smell.
Leathery animal, right.
Yeah. Do you want to smell it?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me just get that.
But now, go ahead and smell that.
This is interesting.
But you smell that leather like a nice aged leather. I don't know if there's an aged leather jacket or something like that.
Yeah, it's like a leather smell. A bit of a barnyard smell. Just like a lot of animalistic smell.
Hide.
Animal, yeah.
Animal hide, yeah.
Yeah. So this is one of the bases that you use as well?
I mean, yeah, in perfumery, this is used widely.
So you drop it in a bottle of some kind of solution.
So you want to smell
boil
that, you'll get a good idea. It's good, isn't it?
I'm trying to see what else I smell in
What
there.
else you get from it? Yeah.
So I smell leather. Smell like a little soil.
Yeah.
Like earthy.
Wet.
Yeah.
But nothing beat that civet smell, man.
And
That was
like
phenomenal.
like a little.
Civet is a crazy aphrodisiac. There's a friend of mine who I made a bottle for. His name is Noor. He's an artist. He's local in Chicago.
This smells like tobacco to me.
Yeah,
but
tobacco,
that's an interesting take on
leather,
that. Yeah.
soil, like earth, and it has a little. It's cool when you take it in, but not like menthol. But it's cool when you take it in. It's fresh, like a cold winter air almost. You know how you get that feel in your air when you fresh
it's
morning
interesting
air.
you mentioned that. I get it now. That
how when you take that first morning breath,
yeah,
and it's kind of cold, but you feel refreshing, right? Yeah. That's what.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
SubhanAllah, this is beautiful. I don't know what this is going to turn out to be, but it's been like this for about 2 years now.
But I definitely smell like that earthy smell, probably from the Hindi.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's not too barney. It's
not too barney.
It's more.
And it's interesting how the animalics sort of faded in that.
Yeah.
And then the last swipe that I'm going to give you. So that was the last smell, but this is the last swipe, and this is none other than the aged oud and rose of Sultan Qaboos,
Oh
rahimahullah.
wow.
Literally straight from his palace.
Oh wow.
Straight from, on Ansar's website, just to give you perspective, if you want to maybe pull it up, I don't know. It's called Mélange Privé. He sells it for like $7.99 a gram.
Wow. So a gram. This is probably 5 grams just for people to see.
No, that's 3. That's 3 grams.
3 grams. Okay. Yeah. So this is like 3 grams. So
I think he says
a third of that is about $800 for what he's holding. So about a third, like this much.
Yeah. But this you gotta smell, man. I mean, it's gonna take your breath away. It's so deep and it's so subhanallah, Mélange. Okay, well here, if you want to take the top off, just very. Oh, you want me to just put it on? Bismillah.
This is how you know it's expensive when it doesn't have a dropper in it.
That's my man. Bismillah. Oh. It has so much depth to it. It's
just like a deep smell.
yeah. This is about
It's
20 years
this
age.
is like a constant, strong oud and roll. There's no up and down. It's just a
Yeah.
consistent.
And this is one of those where the bass notes have come to the top because of the age.
Right. And it's almost like the rose has become the base
Yeah.
and the oud is the topper.
That's interesting how you meant yeah. Yeah.
Like, I feel like it's almost like a rose base and a little bit of oud, but it's actually, you can tell it wouldn't be that way because if you actually did it, that rose would be over dominant. But you can smell the oud, but it's kind of fused together.
So this is his. That's exactly what this is.
Mélange privé.
Mélange privé.
Mélange.
You gotta bring that
Privé.
kha in.
Mélange.
Mélange privé.
Yeah. Anyway, wow. So it's about $8.25
for a gram, right? As a gram price?
1 gram's 30 glass bottle.
Yeah. So this is a Ramadan special for whomsoever is listening today to Mad Mamluks. $8.25 right here on the website. Maybe I shouldn't do this, but $500 out the door per gram, inshallah. It's a Ramadan special only, so it will expire on the 1st of Shawwal.
Okay.
Inshallah.
Go and get it, boys.
Come and get it. Bismillah.
Yeah.
All right. Sheikh Yaseen, it's been a pleasure having you on
Absolutely.
here. Please feel free to go ahead and tell the listeners about abooud.net and your storefront on Roosevelt Road in Lombard or Villa Park, is it?
Yeah, Villa Park.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, no, alhamdulillah, barakallah feekum, jazakallah khair, Imran, brother Imran Sim, for letting me on, and it's great to pass this knowledge on and be able to educate the masses on what the reality of this stuff is.
Yeah.
Because there's so much misinformation out there, and that's just the reality, and it's nobody's fault, right? It's just I'm not pointing fingers or anything like that. There's just a lot out there that's missing, and I want to be able to give people the opportunity to experience this hands-on, to be able to walk in. And I know for a fact that there's not another human or another person that would be, I mean, there maybe is, wallahu alam, but not that I know of anyway.
Yeah.
And then trust me, I'm very well acquainted with the perfumers world, so to speak, or perfuming world, not the perfumers. I don't even call myself a perfumer, by the way. I do my little artisan blending, whatever, and I do it mostly for the in-house, right? I'm not even that much online. But if anybody did want to get it strictly from the online platform, it would be abooud.net, ABUOUD.net. Give it about 48 hours, inshallah, and I'll be putting out, and perhaps you can attach it to the videos. We'll be giving because it's still under construction, and it was a coincidence that you had invited me on this now. So I will be giving a discount code in about 48 hours. Y'all will be receiving a discount code. It will be in the description of the YouTube video that this podcast is on.
How much of a discount, Sheikh?
It's
the month of Ramadan. You gotta be generous.
It will be substantial, inshallah. It will be enough for you to say, you know what, I'm getting it. There's no questions about it. I can't, because you see, let me just put it this way: a minimum of 15% off.
I was thinking 40.
40%.
Let's start with 40.
40%.
Okay.
You know what? Fisa billah price.
I'm just haggling. I'm just giving you a hard
Yeah,
time.
no, I got
You do what you got to do.
So no, you know what? Let's bump it up 5 more, 20%, inshallah.
Okay, inshallah.
20%. He sold me, man. Alhamdulillah. And you know what? I would even do 25 if someone walked into the lab and it's more the time that I get to spend with my,
I could tell when I was sitting with you.
Yeah,
you're a man who loves what you do, and I could feel that, and that kind of a passion is what the show is all about. Just having people who are passionate about what they do, spreading that love, feeling, inspiring other people to get into it, sharing ideas, and that's ultimately what takes us forward, and get better at our craft.
Alhamdulillah.
What I want to say though, real quickly though, is that sometimes if you're new to Oud, the prices may seem overwhelming. My suggestion is come in and you can get samplers like this. It won't cost you too much money.
Yeah, actually like this. So
I'm sorry.
I actually have a sample set available. It's on a promotion.
Okay.
So you'll get 5 of those bottles. That's actually 1 ml. It's 1/3 of that big bottle you have there. Yeah. It looks like a very small volume amount, but you'll get a sample set of 5 grams for about $250 to $300, depending on the oud that you're getting. And I'll just give you an idea, right? I have this one oud called... I call it Oud Rajab. No. Why?
Yeah, this set.
Why I call it Oud Rajab Rayong? I call it Rajab Rayong because if you have, for example, right, it smells very. It's definitely not Oud Extraordinaire, and I don't want to complicate this. Oud Extraordinaire is Ansar's beautiful scent. I actually have some of it, in fact, but it smells very similar to it. Just to give you perspective, I'm not in it for monetizing the entire thing, but you know what? I really want people to experience the beauty and the treasure and the wealth of the olfactive, gems that are hidden within this bottle, or any bottle for that matter. So once again, 20% off abuoud.net. Inshallah, come through. If you want to come through by the shop, it's 226 West Roosevelt Road in Villa Park, Illinois. It's right next to Al-Badia for all of you Chicagoans. Al-Badia and Z-Cuts and whatever.
And just as, I don't know, Sheikh doesn't want to probably mention it, but a lot of this also funds the work that he does for Al-Fatiha Institute, which is teaching Quran, yes. And it goes to a good cause. I believe the storefront is set up to fund the madrasa, right?
That's correct. So we have, however, shifted a lot of our classes to the online forum. However, it's still out of 226 West Roosevelt Road. Mm-hmm. So the clothing, we do have a clothing part to this. I think one of you mentioned it, some clothing or something. Anyway, so we do have the clothing part to it. So the clothing, most of the clothing stuff goes to the madrasa. Mm-hmm. Right, straight up the traditional madrasa, and the perfuming is partially bread and butter. So in any case, barakallah feekum, Ramadan Kareem to all of you, inshallah, and don't forget Palestine and Gaza in your du'as, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair.
Barakallah feek, inshallah.
Feekum barakallah.
And that's abuoud.net, right?
abuoud.net, correct.
There's some people from different parts of the Muslim world who have ABOU for Abu.
ABOU.
Yeah, or some do ABOO.
They get real cute with the word.
Or some do ABOO.
It's more with the oud. It's OUDH at sometimes. Oud. I don't know where they find the ha in the oud.
Some of the Salafis just do like extra double vowels, like ABOO, and then inshallah, like triple A's, like all over the place. Like it's just
The old Algerians get them. INCH, inshallah.
Yeah, inshallah. Inshallah. Yeah.
All right, we'll see y'all next time.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
La ilaha illallah. Yeah.